Welcome to BioBalance Healthcast. I'm Dr. Kathy Maupin.
And I'm Brett Newcomb. And today we're going to continue our conversation about some of the scientific research that is out there. We've done a number of podcasts on particular studies, and we want to talk about a couple of studies today and some of the research behind those studies. One of the things that we regularly mention is the importance of being an educated consumer. So I thought I'd take a couple minutes to talk globally about how you look at research and data and conclusions that are in it. When I was in college, I was training to be a social scientist, and real scientists always get upset when social scientists call themselves
I'm a real scientist, and I don't.
Well, typically they do, because it's a social discipline, not really a science, because it's not rigorous in terms of research. So I had to take courses
I didn't know
in research and statistics. And there were some things...
I did too, and I hated statistics, but now I use it all the time.
Well, there you go. But there were some things that we had to learn about that. One of the things that we were taught is be critical, intellectually critical, about taking claims from studies at face value. If you just read it, you know, the headline, if you're like when you read the newspaper, if you just read the headlines, you don't really get the content of the news. And so there were some questions that we should ask if we want to look critically at a scientific study. We should ask who did it. You know, what are their credentials? Who are they affiliated with? What, you know, agencies do they work for? That sort of thing. What is their agenda? Do we know that they are promoting a particular agenda? What was their methodology? Did they follow the protocols for methodological accuracy in their research? And then what were their conclusions? So you're supposed to look at all of that stuff when you look at a piece of research and you try to understand it.
Let's go back over methodology.
Yeah.
Methodology has to do with how did they pick their subjects? How big is the study? How long did it go? Because if you're looking at a disease that takes 20 years to develop, you can't look at it in 2 years.
Right, you have to follow an age cohort over.
A long-term study. You also have to look at whether it's retrospective. In other words, you're looking at data from studies that you're just looking at data that has already been made or already been created, and you're not really testing subjects where you've got subjects that are affected by this and then subjects that are a control group. Now that would be the study that would be the most accurate. And certain things you just can't do that. It just takes too many years to do that. So many studies are done retrospectively. You look for numbers.
We call it data mining.
Yes.
There are huge databases that are out there now. For instance, like the Census Bureau reports that scientists can go to, and they create a thesis. I posit that this is the case. And then they mine the data that pre-exists to see if they can prove that. If you look back at the podcast we did last week, we were talking about a study that was done on a group of Danish women. All of that was data mined information that had already been collected by the National Health Service in Denmark. And so they kept sorting and sorting and sorting according to their parameters to get the data that they wanted. Okay, so tell them what you mean by sorting, because... Well, they take all the data and they support, like you've got 1,000 women, and you want to find, last week's study talked about the prevalence of heart disease in older women who had not had their hormones replaced. Right. But to filter that down, they went through and did a sort to take out women that were obese. Right. And they went through and did a sort to take out women that smoked. And then they took out, you know, other subsets so that they were reduced to a population of elderly women who weren't obese, didn't smoke, were educated, whatever the parameters were. And then they globalized their conclusion. So
if you have obesity, diabetes, if you smoke, then that data doesn't really apply to you.
Right.
Because they've already sorted all those people out before they look at the numbers. And sadly, it still ends up as a headline, and you still accept it as fact that it means everybody.
Oh my God, this is another thing I have to worry about.
Right, and it's another, it's another stress on your system.
Of course, what they were saying in this particular study was you'd be dead from obesity and smoking and other issues you wouldn't have to worry about.
Right, that's true, and in some ways, that's true, that puts you at risk. It doesn't mean everyone will be. No,
it does not. So, which brings me to the second thing that we had to learn when we were studying methodological research and statistics. They taught us that there are 3 categories of data. There are lies, there are damn lies, and there are statistics. Right. And the thing about statistics that they told us is you expand or contract your base so that the results that you have look significant or insignificant. So you manipulate the data to prove the point that you want to prove.
You start the study by saying, what do I want it to say?
Exactly.
My husband told me, he's an attorney, and he said, it's like an appraiser. They come to your house and they say, what do you want it to be worth? What do you need out of this house?
Well, it must be worth that.
Yeah, and so then they set up the data. I'm not trying to criticize appraisers, but
and they search carefully for comps
for things
that match
to make
that
it
data.
worth that.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing with researchers. Often, they usually have a thesis or a
well, they almost always do.
They
start
with
the thesis, and then they try to do the research if they're actually doing research, or they do data mining. So when you're thinking about statistics, and anytime somebody quotes 5.7% of this and 82% of that, remember that figures never lie, but liars always figure.
So they can make it look like that with numbers.
Yes, so they can play with it with numbers.
And generally, my litmus test for a study is I read a headline, and for me, I have the advantage of having watched women and their families over the period of 25 years or more and followed them, and I know that in general, my patients, if they have this, they get this, and then if the data on the top of the page in the newspaper is, nope, that's not true, I know that they've manipulated that study because I have every age group, every socioeconomic level. I've looked at all of these women, and I have a memory of exactly how each woman has progressed and what they've gotten. If they smoked, if they had breast cancer in the end, did they take hormones or not?
You should always remember that inquiring minds want to know. And they want to know about the three-headed baby that was fathered by an alien named Newt Gingrich in Georgia.
Are we doing politics now?
Well, no, we're gonna go back to medicine.
We're not doing
research.
Politics now.
Today we're going to talk about, all this is a prelude to a JAMA article that Kathy found.
Journal of the AMA.
Journal of the American Medical Association, talking about the aging process in men in particular, and for those men who develop what are called MCIs, mild cognitive impairments, as they age. And those are precursor symptoms for the development of Alzheimer's or dementia and things like that. And I don't remember enough because I'm an older guy. Yeah, those are.
Yeah, just forget it. I'll take care of this.
Okay, thanks.
That means you have difficulty concentrating. You can not remember names or places. It doesn't mean you get lost when you're driving, but forgetfulness, inability to solve problems, loss of efficiency at work, like if you're very efficient and then you just aren't because you're just scattered. It's not exactly ADD. It's more like you just can't remember what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, it's not as significant as ADD.
Right. And usually in women, this happens.
It's like when you go into a room in your house and you stop and you look around and you think, why did I come in here?
Yeah.
Or you open the refrigerator and you think, what am I looking for?
Now,
I mean, that happens to me.
That happens to everybody, but when you have all of these things or many of them, and they start, and you've never had them in such a number before. You've done that once a month. Now you're doing it every day. Then that's mild cognitive impairment. And so that's what we're really talking about.
Right.
And they were looking at men with mild cognitive impairment. And the reason I pulled this article is in general, all the research I've done has shown that men get cognitive impairment at least 10 years after women, and they don't have as much cognitive impairment because of many reasons that we'll discuss, but they have a delayed cognitive impairment. But this article said men have more cognitive impairment than women. So because of that headline, I then went through the study to see why they said that.
Right.
And why the numbers did not go along with everything I knew.
They were attributing the interpretive data from their study said you're less likely to have mild cognitive impairment as an older male if you're better educated and if you were married.
Well,
so
that's true.
Education and marriage helps you hold on. It does, and those were conclusions that they reached. But you were upset when you looked at the data because there's a critical ingredient that keeps cropping up in your work and in the studies that you read that they didn't evaluate for at all.
Well, they said that they have it more than women.
Yes.
That the main premise was men have more cognitive impairment than women, and my studies all show
7.2 compared to 5.7.
Right. That's true. That's what they said. But there's a study that showed midlife women have 62% of midlife women, and this was a good study.
And,
it was
midlife women are
40 to 55.
55.
So midlife women, 62% have mild cognitive impairment. Okay, so that's a huge
I'm sorry,
number.
say that number again.
62%.
62%.
Over half of women between 40 and 55 have mild cognitive impairment. So I know that when they're saying men get it and it's as low as 7% or 6% compared to women, I know that there's something wrong with that study. Because this other study was done with a large number of women, and it was done prospectively. They did the study over many years and then collected the data from it. So I know that that study that came out in 2002 was a good, well-done study, I guess I should say. Now we get this piece of information, so what went wrong? What did they do wrong that they came up with the wrong conclusion?
Well, they evaluated 1,450 men and women between 70 and 89.
And that's the problem. The problem is women get their cognitive impairment between 40 and 55, the majority of them.
Right.
But they started at 70. Now,
so if they found a group of women in their 70s who had not developed it.
Yeah, everybody had to start at no cognitive impairment.
Right.
And they looked at 70-year-olds with no cognitive impairment. So when we look at that, all the women had already had it. They're looking for women who've never had it.
So can you recover from it?
Well, you can, if you start getting cognitive impairment in your 40s to 55, there's a window of time after you lose your testosterone and your estrogen. If you replace both of those, you are less likely to get Alzheimer's, dementia, and cognitive impairment. And my patients, when they get their hormones back, they don't have cognitive impairment.
Okay.
And they did not address the reason for this.
So there's a continuum of severity. As you start to lose mental acuity,
Right.
you have short-term memory problems, you have short-term recall issues. Those are not evidences of dementia or Alzheimer's. They're just evidences of the beginning of the aging process.
Right. And
that's the part that can be interrupted. And then the more significant points on the continuum, if you're genetically predisposed to get Alzheimer's, what it does is delay the onset of that.
By replacing estrogen, we can delay a woman 10 years before, if she was going to develop dementia or Alzheimer's, we can delay her 10 years. If we replace testosterone as well during that early window, then we can delay another 10 years. So that means
a total of
20 years for a woman can be delayed so that she dies of something else before she gets dementia or Alzheimer's.
Okay.
So in this study, they're just looking at a subset of women who have already gone through that process, and they take only women who have no cognitive impairment at the age of 70.
Right.
And study them.
Who are not likely then to die of Alzheimer's or dementia anyway, because they're already 70 and they haven't shown any signs
and they didn't look at whether they'd taken hormones or not. So they may have taken hormones to help them, and then they're looking at men who have taken nothing probably, who have no cognitive impairment, and then they compare them. Well, the problem is they're comparing apples and oranges because they've already sorted out all the women who got either cognitive impairment or dementia or Alzheimer's. They're starting at 70. That's the wrong time to start. They should have started this study at 45 and then looked at all the people who were 45 and up and then compared men and women, because women get Alzheimer's and dementia much more often if they don't have testosterone and they don't have estrogen than men, because men lose their testosterone later.
So why is all this relevant? It is relevant because it's important to be a good consumer. It's relevant because you need to know certain things about anybody that makes a claim for anything. You know, whether it's a new miracle medicine that you can get at the GNC, you know, this new herbal thing is going to solve everything. Look into those claims and look into them in a critical, objective way.
It's hard to do if you're not a physician and you don't know the other statistics, like when you couldn't really evaluate this study if you didn't know that the reason it failed is because they've missed the entire group of women who get dementia.
They aimed at the wrong target.
Cognitive impairment by raising the age.
Unless, of course, you watch our podcast, and we'll tell you those things.
Yeah, we look for these articles so that we can kind of set you straight on the data, because this headline, could you read the headline? Do you mind reading that?
We'll read the headline. Older men may be at greater risk for MCI than women.
So that's mild cognitive impairment. So if you have, if your husband's like forgetting things, then you're worried that he's going to be getting that. I mean, he's going to be going on to dementia or Alzheimer's.
So if you're interested in this topic, you can contact us directly. You can reach Kathy at...
You can go to my website at biobalancehealth.com or podcast at biobalancehealth.com. Or you can call us at 314-993-0963. That's my office.
And you can always reach me at brettnewcomb.com.